Nothing in this podcast is meant for medical advice. Please discuss your own healthcare with your healthcare providers. Thank you. Welcome to your B-side, your midlife metamorphosis. I'm your host, Dr. Amy Lindsey. Midlife is not a crisis, it's a catalyst to your best life. Join me each week for a dose of mental, physical, and spiritual health, life, grief, adventure, and opportunity. It's time to flip the record over. Today, we're going to talk about how having integrity improves your health. Welcome to your B-side, your midlife metamorphosis with me, your host, Dr. Amy Lindsey. So I've been thinking a lot about integrity, and the way some people think about integrity is a sense of ethics or morality, like right and wrong, bad and good. But integrity is simply just the best way to think about it is the fourth chair leg on a four-legged chair, right? If you have a four-legged chair and you only have three legs on it, it's going to fall over. It doesn't have integrity. So that's, a physical example. But integrity is more about being your word. And a lot of people will think about this in terms of being on time. That has integrity. People will think about this in doing what they say they're going to do to support other people in their relationships, in their home, in their jobs, in their careers. And all of this is integrity. And in fact, I would invite everyone to just take a look at their life and see where they're not doing what they say they're going to do. That's you, if you're not doing what you say you're going to do. And if you're late all the time, or if you're not getting back to people, you're living a life that's run amok without integrity. So what does this have to do with health? Well, a lot, frankly, because when we're out of integrity, then there's going to be beneath the surface, almost like a river or a current of stress going on. And if there's always a river or current of stress going on, then your body and your mind and your spirit are not going to have the best health that they can. That period. You're not going to have the best health that you can. You're not going to have integrity with that. And to take it further, people talk about health habits and having integrity with health habits. And yes, that's baseline. That's basic. That if you have a goal for your health to cut down your blood sugar, to be working on cutting back your blood sugar, then there might be specific things that you need to do in working with your personal physician or health coach to accomplish that goal. And it's going to be different for everyone because the reason why someone has elevated blood sugar is going to be different. It's not a one size fits all at all. And I'm certainly not here on this podcast to give anybody medical advice. So don't put in the comments, well, how do you get your blood sugar down? Do a call with me if you want to be my patient. But here's the thing. Here's what I want to talk about that we don't seem to talk about in terms of integrity. And that's how we treat other people. And I don't just mean, are we kind to them? Are we nice to them? Do we do the social niceties with them? I mean, through and through, to the bone, to the core of our being. Yeah? So I started thinking about this on my walk today, and I decided to come home and just jump on the mic because I just felt like it was such a great topic. I was at the nail salon. Okay, trust me on this. This is going somewhere. This is going somewhere good. But I was at the nail salon today, and I live in France currently, and everything's in French. Okay, so everyone in the nail salon getting their nails done, and all the manicurists and pedicurists, and everyone's speaking French. The woman who does my nails speaks a little bit of English, and her English is much better than my French. And we kind of exchange vocabulary, and it's always a nice exchange. And I really, really value her. She's awesome. And I love the way she does my nails. But while I was sitting there was a full-on debate going on about whether or not men should have nails, right? And when I say have nails, I mean they have nails. I mean beyond just a manicure, but if they should get fancy nails, if they should have long nails, if they should have gels and acrylics and, the whole thing. And it was a lively debate. And then the woman doing my nails said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Why not?" The room went silent and they all looked at me because they understood enough English. to understand why not, because she said this to me in English. And I said, it's an expression, it's self-expression, it's art, it's beauty, it's fashion, it's makes people feel good. Why does it matter what your gender is? If you want nails, get nails. And they all kind of laughed. And then a whole other debate broke out in French, and my French isn't good enough to know what they were saying. And the woman doing my nails clued me into it, and she said, "Now everybody's debating about whether the French are closed-minded and stuck in their ways or not." And they were all pretty much agreeing that the French in general are stuck in their ways and closed-minded. I had had a similar conversation on the sidelines of the soccer field with a Brazilian footballer who's an ex-professional footballer who was there observing my son's team and their training. And he was saying similar things about French football. He was saying, well, the French, they're set in their ways. The French would never go for this. The French would never play this way. The French would never train this way. The French, on and on and on. And I have been thinking about these two conversations that happened within days of each other. And then I started to realize a lot of people that are not French necessarily, but expats living here, there's kind of this undertone of, oh, the French are this way. Oh, the French are this way. And it got me thinking, I think it's not that the French are this way. I think it's that human beings judge other beings for being a certain way. Like, we love to put people in groups, and we love to find groups to then basically talk shit about, if you think about it. And I even think some of the French people were talking shit about themselves, but this got me thinking about integrity. And what's the connection here? You're probably thinking, what the hell are you trying to, what's the dot you're connecting? What are the dots you're connecting? And what I'm connecting is this, that if we want to be the people to live the life we want to live, be fully in our self-expression, if we want to be an artist or go for our dreams or manifest our abundance and all this shit we all want, then we don't get to go around talking shit about other people and putting them in boxes and putting limits on them. Does that make sense? That when you essentially are putting a limit on an entire group of people or even a single person out there in the world, you are inherently putting a limit on yourself. And that doesn't have integrity. That's a double binding message. You don't get to go out there and be going for to be understood and self-expressed and to fulfill your dreams and to go be, do, and have everything you've always wanted, regardless of status quo, regardless of what people might say about you, when you, in turn, have judgment against other people in that way where you are limiting them. That doesn't have integrity. And I want to talk about this because I hear so many people just talking shit nonstop. And a lot of people find it bonding. Like, if you can be in agreement and bond over something. Let me just clear something up real quick. There is a difference between having a debate out of curiosity and forming an opinion. And there is a difference between being an advocate for a position you might take where you feel like you're not righteous. That's the opposite of what I'm saying, but you're advocating for something that you feel like it moves humanity forward. Yeah, you can have an opinion about that and debate that. That's different than this sort of limiting, gossipy, judgmental righteousness. Does that make sense? Hey, this is Dr. Amy Lindsey, your host of Welcome to Your B-Side, your midlife metamorphosis YouTube channel and podcast. If you want to be more involved with my B-Side community, you can join on School. That's SKOOL. You can join my school community. Look me up, Dr. Amy Lindsey. Welcome to your B-Side and request to join. And I hear people, I walk all the time. I go on these big, long walks and I catch little bits of conversation, whether it's in French or English. And whether you're American or French or from some other, or Brazilian or from wherever you're from, I hear all kinds of people basically talking shit. Like, that's what people do, is talk shit. And as a soccer parent oh my goodness, right? The parents on the side of the field are just nonstop judging every player and judging the coaches and judging the other kids and like they're kids. And then the other team and the this and the that, all day long, nonstop. And people are just constant with their judgment and their opinions and their limits. I'm specifically talking about limits here. When you limit other people, you limit yourself. I'll say that again. When you are being limiting and judgmental and boxing people in, you are limiting yourself. I often talk to my son about how he feels about things, or if he feels like he's being judged, or if he feels insecure about something, or if he's upset or complaining about something that happened at school or on the soccer field, and he's kind of like making somebody else wrong. And I talk to him about it, and I say, hey, how do you feel when other people are judging you in that way, right? And talking about you in that way, because he's in turn talking about them. And he says, well, I don't feel good. It makes me feel terrible. And I say, well, let's practice not putting that on other people. And I even say, we talk about confidence a lot, that you build confidence the less you talk shit about other people. I'm going to say that again. You build confidence in yourself, your wildest dreams, bucking the status quo and being the person you were always meant to be in full alignment in your health and your purpose in your life. You achieve that quicker when you stop putting limits and judgments and gossip on other people. I strongly recommend, for the sake of your health, your mental health, and your spiritual health, your wealth, your abundance, all the things you want to be, do, and have in your life, that you start a practice of curiosity, that you remain curious of people. And, and if we were to take this to a bigger level, a geopolitical level, look at how people try to gain power, right? They try to gain power by limiting other people. And this is happening rampantly all over the world. And I'm super paying attention to US politics right now because I'm an American and I am living in France. And so what's interesting is when you're not in the United States and you're somewhere else, you're delivered the news a little differently. Yeah. That there isn't kind of the typical US news sources coming your way. You see it from like a French perspective or a British perspective or a European perspective. And it's really fascinating to get that perspective and to see it. But just speaking in general, a geopolitical look at this is what's gone wrong in the world, that we don't have integrity. We don't have integrity in the way we treat people and then how we want to be, do, and have all the things that we want in our lives. It doesn't match. And so if you are oppressing other people, does this make sense? If you are oppressing other people, taking advantage of other people and doing everything you can to limit other human beings and to group them in ways that is demeaning, and you're trying to take advantage of people, how on earth do you personally expect to move forward and in progress? I don't even need to name all the different groups of people out there in the world, right? I don't even need to name them. We all know, or maybe you don't. Maybe you need to start paying attention. But here's the thing. The world and the divine loves diversity. Nature loves diversity. All you have to do is look at the natural world and see how amazing and diverse it is. And as human beings, we are amazing and diverse. And rather than judging other people, try being curious. Because I'm telling you, you don't know. You don't know about that person. This conversation started in a French nail salon. But I think that this is a bigger conversation, and it's a conversation about integrity. This isn't just about showing up on time, okay? This isn't just about eating your vegetables for your health. This isn't just about going on your walks every day because you said you would and it's good for your heart health, although those are all great things. And by the way, just a little side note, everyone check in on themselves, like your goals for your life. Does your health match that? That's a whole other podcast. But for your purpose and your goals in your life, are you treating your wellness, your health, your physical health and mental health and spiritual health? Are you backing it up with that? Okay. But what I'm talking about is a bigger issue with integrity. So, for example, this is an easy one. People will love a restaurant. Okay. They'll love a restaurant and say it's an Indian restaurant, or say it's a Tibetan restaurant, or say it's a Mexican restaurant. And they'll love the food, they'll love the staff. It's like their favorite place they go on Thursday nights. But then they're not willing to back up the communities for advocacy for the people who are making you that food. That doesn't have integrity. And the exchange of money for the food doesn't cut it. Does that make sense? What it costs people to immigrate to another place, and I'm talking about Indian food and Mexican food and Tibetan food, like in a Western country, right? Clearly Indian food in India, that is the culture. I'm talking about when people immigrate and what they have to go through to go live in another place that is new, has all kinds of benefits and costs to them. And it runs so deep that we have no idea. Like if you're a white American person, for example, and then you're going to go take advantage of those people. And I say advantage that yes, you paid for your meal, but it goes deeper than that you're then going to betray them when it matters. Yeah, you're going to then betray them when it matters. That doesn't have integrity. You don't have integrity. What do we do? I love talking about solutions because we can sit and talk about problems all day long. But to move humanity forward, to move us all forward, we need to talk about solutions. Here's a practical thing you can do. And I was talking about one of my last podcasts, a few podcasts ago, about how politics matter and both at the same time. Doom scrolling isn't good for your health and rage addiction isn't good for your health. So with that in mind, if you're somebody who wants to really have an impact on, let's say, immigrant communities or trans communities or Black communities or whatever community who is being targeted and victimized by the powers that be and who are being oppressed and taken advantage of, here's some practical things that you can do. So, for example, you can simply go visit neighborhoods that are predominantly like have those groups of people, whatever the group that is targeted. You can go visit that neighborhood. You can walk around. You can buy things from small businesses. You can eat at the restaurants. You can say hello and just be a presence in a neighborhood. That's one thing that you can do. Another thing that you can do is make sure that you're always speaking up and advocating when it matters. This isn't just about social media. This is about in your conversations with your family and with your friends and with your colleagues. And this is important. And a lot of people want to brush this under the rug and say they don't talk politics. I'm not talking about politics, although politics is very much rooted here. I'm talking about people. And I'm talking about integrity. And I'm talking about taking care of each other. Because there is no integrity in going after your wildest dreams and the life that you want when you are not advocating for people when they need it, when you are taking advantage of other people, when you are judging other people, and when you are boxing people in and putting limits on them. Food for thought. You can definitely put in the comments more ways. Money is always a big one. A lot of nonprofits and a lot of advocacy groups need cash. You can donate to something that calls to you. I am not about shaming people or telling people what the right thing for them to do is. I think everybody just needs to do something and to be thinking about this, thinking about how deep our integrity needs to go and it includes taking care of other people on the planet. All right, this has been an episode of Welcome to Your B-Side. I'm Dr. Amy Lindsey, and you can follow me on @Dr. Amy Lindsey on Instagram. You can join my B-Side community. All the links and all the things are below. Love you, mean it. Have a great day. This has been another episode of Welcome to Your B-Side, your midlife metamorphosis with Dr. Amy Lindsey. Be sure to follow along and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time.